Hello, everybody. This is Doug, or Doobie. I still haven't figured out my branding yet. I'm gonna be Doobie, Boogie, whatever. Anyways, you don't care about that. You're here for this topic, and wanted to make a number of videos, but due to procrastination and lack of motivation, lack of confidence in my setup, my equipment, whatever. Just don't do it or drag my feet or whatever. But I finally decided to jump right in and try and get back into making videos. And today's subject, oh, and if you're wondering where I am, I'm in the bathroom. Why? Because of the lighting and comfortable seating. Do I have on pants? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about Ray Fisher in this video, and it's probably going to be titled Accountability versus Entertainment, or Accountability is Greater Than Entertainment, just like his slogan. Anyway, so Ray Fisher, the actor who played Cyborg in Warner Brothers Justice League movie and Batman versus Superman, has been going on he's been locked in a battle with the studio trying to get justice for the mistreatment and mismanagement that him and others experienced during their shooting during the Justice League reshots. And there is an air of disbelief and viewing him as incredulous. And he's hasn't given specific details of what exactly went down or whatever that he's wants to be rectified, but he's given names and kind of like parallel details or tangential details. But a lot of people criticize and want to not believe him or dismiss what he's been saying. And I want to discuss that. And I want to try and explain why I believe that is the case. Anyways, we're already 3 minutes in, so we'll try and keep this brief, although that is not my specialty. So, a lot of people, I'd say the average person wants to play along to get along. Or they don't want to rock the boat, they don't want to stand up, they don't want to cause any trouble because they don't want to be stressed. They have enough, I guess, problems, they might think, and they don't want the pressure that comes from standing out. So many times people overlook things that they know are wrong or they have an issue with, not because there is no problem, but because, again, they don't want to stand out or be targeted. So when somebody else does stand out or stand up, they often look at that person with resentment or something, and ultimately they try to resist the person who is trying to make the change or stand. They try to make it harder for them instead of either just backing off and giving them space to do what they have to do, or better yet, encouraging them or helping them. But so that's already like a common method of operation for many people. But in Hollywood, or fans looking at Hollywood, I should say, there is this weird relationship we have. We're fascinated with them, we're obsessed with them, but we resent them. And, or when I say we, mean many people. I don't mean necessarily myself, but so, and you can see that people have like this air of superiority and this resentment because they feel that these people are they're dissatisfied with their personal lives, but they feel that these celebrities or whatever are living easily or have an easy life, and they get paid well and they have fame and all this stuff, and they should be satisfied with those things and accept any kind of treatment that they are given because it's counterbalanced by all these rare things to acquire in our world of fame and riches. But in actuality, just because, like, you being dissatisfied with your lot in life should not be projected on them trying to fight for fair treatment. And being paid well is not an excuse, or does not excuse you being mistreated for your job. So you might be a millionaire, but that doesn't mean you should be treated in an unfair, unprofessional way, or browbeat, screamed at, whatever. It doesn't matter how much you make. A work environment should be a certain kind of way, a healthy, positive type of place. And fighting for it to be that way is not wrong. It's actually good. So people value material more than they value doing the right thing. And it comes from this place of the majority of people living in scarcity. So when somebody has something that you want, you feel that they should put up with things that you're not necessarily, you don't think you should put up with because they have something you want. And anyway, so I'm kind of rambling. I should have probably thought this through a little bit more better and like outlined it. And there's this, all right, but back to Ray Fisher specifically. So besides this resentment or whatever that we have towards people that are doing well, or Hollywood or whatever, and this fear of standing out, regardless of all that, if you're looking at Ray Fisher as unbelievable, if you had been paying attention to the Release the Snyder Cut movement this whole time, instead of resisting them or trying to make it harder for them, and that coincides with this whole trying to make the journey harder for people that are trying to make a change, people would say that the Snyder Cut didn't exist. They'd say that we're toxic. They would say Snyder is a hack. They'd say a whole bunch of horrible things, and it would make them feel better about themselves or whatever. But if they hadn't wasted their energy trying to fight a fight that didn't need to be fought, and they actually joined with us, or, like I said, stepped aside, if they had just been paying attention, they would have known that Snyder had been mistreated, with the studio using the death of his daughter as a cover-up for pressuring him out and sneaking Whedon in. They lied about completing his vision, lied about Zack hand-picking Whedon to work closely with him and bring the rest of his story to life. So Zack had been mistreated. We had known about Ben having a hard time with the studio and his it being a large contributor to his relapse into alcoholism and ultimately quitting the role and walking away from the role for his own mental health and well-being. We saw the movie. We knew that there all this drama and shady things behind the scenes, from Kevin Sujihara to Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, and apparently now Walter Hamada, of trying to make the investigation harder or protect people that were doing bad things. And we like to look at Hollywood and think, oh, that's such a bad place, such a grimy place. And they're the Illuminati, they're child predators, they're cult worshippers. We have a weird relationship, like I said, with Hollywood, celebrity, whatever, where we like to we fetishize them and we look down on them for superiority. But ultimately, we want what they have, but we think it's a bad place. We know that this experience of this production and beyond the production was a negative one where people were treated unfairly. So if we know these things about what we think Hollywood is like and details that we've picked up over the years of how Zach was treated, Ben was treated, the staff was treated, how bad the executives were behaving with rushing out the production to try and get their bonuses and having affairs, making sex deals with actors and whatever. So we know these things. That alone should give credibility to Ray Fisher's claims that it was a bad work environment. So instead of asking for him to give us specific details, all we have to do is actually put the pieces together, use our brains, and realize that, oh yeah, this movement had been talking about all the negativity and wrongdoing that had been done and channeled at these people. We know that for years, these people had been fighting for justice for Zach. And the Release the Snyder Cut movement was more than just a movie. It was actually about doing the right thing. So people, the bloggers, Ben Affleck recently gave an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, I believe, and he even mentioned how part of the reason he did the role of Batman was he wanted his children to be able to see something that he made. And he went to his birthday party in the suit, and that going to the birthday party was worth all the suffering. That's what he said. All the suffering that he went through during the Justice League production. So a thinking person can put all the details together and realize, yeah, there's some bad things going on. And instead of thinking of material like money, people think, oh, Ray Fisher is just doing this because he's a prima donna and because he wants to he didn't get his way, but somehow on the outside we're thinking, but this is career suicide, so he's gonna end his career. So you think you have a better grasp on the business than this person, and you're projecting what you value onto them. So you think that he wants more money or a more prominent role, and by throwing a tantrum, you think he thinks he's going to get what he wants by throwing a tantrum. But you know that it's actually career suicide. So if you know that this is going to make him blacklisted or blackballed in Hollywood, you don't think he knows that? And from this whole time, he's been talking about how accountability is greater than entertainment. Our value system is so messed up where we think, where we want to escape from our everyday life, where we want to sweep things under the rug. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to face things. So we project that on other people. But this whole time he hasn't been talking about money. He hasn't been talking about not getting his way. He's been talking about being treated unfairly. And he's even said if it was just him, many times he could just take it, walk away, or compartmentalize it and put it away. But it was a wide scale, broad scope, more than just him. And that's what really motivated him to stand out. So it's not about the money. He doesn't think like you think. He's not worried about a career because the career is not the most important thing. There's way more important things than money. There's way more important things than comfort. There's way more important things than fame. We like to look down on so many things. Food service, just a whole bunch of different things. And he doesn't. He said he'd go back to food service and serving people, whatever. Everybody has to eat. So your messed up values, you're projecting on this person, and you're not using your brain. But many people hadn't been this whole time. Getting back to the Snyder Cut, it's like they wrapped up production and finished a whole movie almost a year before the release date, and yet a whole bunch of haters were resistant, not because of the evidence, but because they have an agenda. Oh, it doesn't exist. How can you film a whole movie and it doesn't exist? Do you think they were literally just standing around looking at each other with their thumbs in their butt? People are so stupid and so petty that they want to try and make you feel bad or whatever, instead of actually just using their own thinking ability or critical thinking skills. But anyways, this is getting on, rambling too long. It's almost on 20 minutes. It's 17 minutes. So accountability versus entertainment, or accountability is greater than entertainment. If you've been paying attention this whole time, then you know that Ray Fisher isn't making up anything. And he leaked, or he showed us a recording of the call with the investigators, and the investigator said that he had been cooperative the whole time, that did everything he said he would do, gave all the details he said he would give, and the facts speak for themselves. The facts speak for themselves. So, you have to ask yourself, why don't you believe him? Because I'm pretty positive it's not for there being a lack of evidence. A lack of evidence is not, or absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. But in this case, there is evidence. There's a bunch of, like I said, a long history of shady things going on that we knew. And him standing out and calling it out now should only be like, oh. But anyways, those were some of my thoughts. Hopefully that they were somewhat coherent and understandable. And on to the next video. Like, subscribe, and follow. Comment in the comment section. And you don't have to like either. I mean, you could dislike it, whatever. Just engage. Engage. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me how to improve. Talk to me about anything. I don't care. Just watch the video. Like I said, it's kind of long. I'm long-winded. But anyways, accountability is greater than entertainment.